Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Hey, all. Good morning.
Hey, happy Monday. Welcome back to the Buy Here Pay Here Morning Show.
I had a
snowy
great weekend.
North Ogden.
Yeah, it was really, really nice. Beautiful snowy. Went for some walks in the snow with my friends. Had my couple of my best friends come into town to just because, and it was just a lovely, lovely weekend to spend with some people that mean an awful lot to me.
Yep.
And Jim, they mean an awful lot to Jim because they make me so happy.
Yeah. It was nice. We had a really enjoyable weekend and stayed in for the most part. Shoveled a foot of snow.
A foot.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was
a foot. Just really much one night.
Yeah.
So and we were supposed to have snow like all
every
the
day,
rest of the week.
Not today, but the rest of the week. So I think that we've been talking about, all right, so I think it's time to just bite the bullet and buy a snow thrower.
Yeah, it's time. It's definitely time.
Because both of us were out there shoveling, and I was only out there for about, I don't know, an hour.
It's early.
He
There's
was
a
out
lot
there
of
for
winter
about
ahead.
2 hours. And you know how much we love snow. Okay. Facebook user, this intrigued me.
Intrigued by the thing. And
business proposals.
This is important. I think this is something that I know it's been a game changer for me.
Well, can you, are we ready to get in, or wait, is there anything else?
No, I have one other thing I need to share with our folks. Listen, we'll continue to correspond with everybody by email and what have you on the V8 group, the dealer groups that we announced. There's been some questions coming back, and it's not surprising. People are naturally, inclined to compare it to a 20 group. Well, how's it different from a 20 group? How's it composite, blah, blah, blah. And so I would just, wanted to share with everybody, look, we'll continue to reach out and get you updated information. We got some videos we can send to explain a little bit about that, but it's different. I mean, it's a peer group and it's comparative. We're calling it Compare and Connect, but it's quite different, the format. So it's scaled down. It's intended to be kind of a scaled back version and more affordable. So again, we'll get details to you soon on all that, but just hang in there. It's a new thing, and people are
we've
adjusting.
had people say, well, I'm in a 20 group. And so it's like, okay,
we don't.
You're getting great comparative. This is different. And it's designed for people that aren't in a 20 group primarily. So that they have the opportunity to kind of connect on a very different way, because it's all virtual. It's done monthly. It's 1 hour every month, and the numbers are different.
Yeah. And there's so many dealers out there. We meet them all the time that are kind of on an island or in a bubble where they, they don't know, like, how do other people price their cars, or how do other people, they don't know how other people do business. And so this is the best way for us to get folks connected with other dealers. And so it's cool. The reaction's been super positive, and we're grateful for the amount of interest, and we're excited to get this thing introduced to the market. We beta tested it last quarter, and
really great feedback. If you all haven't had a chance to take a look, go to whitehatway.com, and then there's a V8 tab there, so you can just kind of take a peek at the stuff if you're interested. Okay,
more
so
explanatory.
Yeah. Oh, and also Friday we've got Brent Carmichael coming back, and we're going to talk about overhead. And
our Wednesday topic has been decided. We're going to talk about business intelligence. So in a White Hat Way context, and kind of the what we see kind of in White Hat Way. Brian Adams in Georgia. Good morning, Brian.
Yep.
And so happy to have you here. So the idea here is that we can move on into business plan. I think
because I have a question when we start getting into it.
Let's go.
All right. So business plan. A lot of people think that, business plan is like a beginning phase of a business, and it is a very useful tool when you're beginning your business, because that's where you take, if you're doing your capital through a private investor or bank, and there's something kind of like that goes through with some of the big capital providers in the space. But this is a really valuable thing for if you're going through next phase capital as well.
Yep.
And because a lot of times, we might get in with a capital provider, and then you really, you can stay in that track in perpetuity for the most part. But this is if you have different tranches of money and you're looking for different things to be able to invest in inventory or invest in machinery or invest in all that other kind of stuff.
There are tons of scenarios.
Tools.
I mean, the most common one I would say in our buy here, pay here space is people pursuing lines of credit or some sort of, larger funding. And, the lenders are likely to ask for a business plan. And I can just say, as an entrepreneur over the years, that's always been a struggle for me. Like, I could just tell you, even somebody who does what we do,
Morning, George.
it's always been a struggle because it's hard to know, like, how do they want to see it, right? And so this is something you're talking to somebody who's had owned my first business when I was 24 years old, and so I just think there's all kinds of stuff that lenders are going to look for it. Potential partners, like if you're talking about some sort of equity arrangement, investor, it seems likely they would ask for a business plan, right?
Yeah. And I know in our own, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat today. In our own experience, it's, we've helped with some business plan things with clients of ours, but for us and what we're trying to build, it's kind of just been something that's, you always put off the thing that you don't really you're not excited about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do on this one. It's because it's, for whatever reason.
So we've done, of course, with our clients, we work primarily in the financial part. I call it the financial component of a business plan, like the pro formas, the actual projections of the dollars, right? So there's that. That's something we've done. We've done topics on that. We've done podcasts in the past. People can look that up for, cash flow projections or whatever. But I'm really talking about the more expansive narrative or narrated kind of, written form of the business plan. And so what we want to share with you today is that, we've discovered that, and I'm a little embarrassed because some others out there are bound to have, uncovered this solution before we did. But I just think it's important for all of our folks out there to know that it exists. And, the shortcut to the answer is we're going to refer you to Fiverr, and Fiverr is spelled Fiverr. Go to fiverr.com, just put an extra R on the end, and you can do a search for business plan development. Just look up business plans, and you're going to find a ton of people who have solutions. And let me just tell you what our experience was when we went out to find somebody to help construct a business plan. It was such a clean,
beautiful
process.
Yeah.
Like that was the part that was so slick to me, is the way that
the person, I mean, we paid like $350, something like that.
I think
about around $350. And the person that is writing it has a master's of business.
Yeah.
And so it's like they know business, they understand business, and this is what they do every day is they're writing business plans, and they have a format, and that questionnaire was amazing.
And they have a timeline. Like, I think this is the part that is hard for us to express to you today, all the things, and you'll find your own. I just can tell you that the person that we engaged, they had, and of course, Fiverr, let's talk about the Fiverr process first, because when you go into Fiverr, you set up a profile as a business, and then you're able to go out and shop. This whole, and listen, I got to tell you just quickly, I think dealers need to get more familiar with this, because in an age where we can outsource more and more, there are so many professionals out there that are contractors that are rated. I mean, you can see, just like you go on Amazon to buy a lawnmower, you can see the ratings of all the stuff. And Fiverr is the same way. You see the ratings of all these people. You can see
their
Fiverr's
portfolio, and
you can see Fiverr's own kind of designation for that provider. So you're dealing with somebody who, one, has performed well in the past. Two, is being graded by Fiverr as a platform for the service they provide. And then the part that I was most impressed with, I mean, the multiple things, but the idea that when there's a timeline associated with it, so that you're going to have your items delivered within a certain time period. Now, this provides that you do your part, right? But the thing that was really cool is when we engaged, They provide a questionnaire.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just fill in the blanks.
And here's the other thing too is, and you're going to be pulling from people. Good morning, Tim. You're going to be pulling from people all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that what the way that the program works with Fiverr is that you pay, Fiverr holds the funds until you say, yes, I accept the work.
At least
that
that's
was
what
done.
we believe. That's the way it works.
Or they get a percentage or whatever, but it's not until you've accepted the work that that the full amount is transferred over to the person that has been doing the work for you.
Yeah.
And it's really, really slick because, it really encourages there to be, there's sometimes it'll be like you can do up to 5 edits or whatever that is part of the agreement. We've used Fiverr a lot in the past, but never for this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not been something we've really talked about on the morning show as an option for a lot of things that you might need within your business. But a business plan is something so many of us would benefit from having their business plan. In a way, it's kind of regardless of whether or not you're going after capital, but to have a business plan that you can update. This is where we're going. And it's kind of, in a way, it's like, this is the structure of what we're doing. This is where we're going. This is where, where our goals are. This is what our competition looks like. This is, all of the things that are, I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing. I know for us, as we complete this, we will likely go back in and do it again in a year or two, because there's a lot of stuff that we're going to do with this business plan. And so we go back in again and update it. And it's kind of, in a way, I liken it to, I have friends that are in professional worlds, and I tell, we have conversations with their kids all the time and about this. And it's funny because our son-in-law mentioned, I do this now, keeping your resume, like your business plan is kind of like your resume, keeping your resume up to date. Yeah. Keeping it very, current and valid for right now, for the new experiences you have and all of that. Because if you're using it for like a resume, and it's the business plan is very similar to like what a resume would kind of do if you're going out looking for capital, is that, and it if you ever need it, it's there. And then I encourage our kids and other colleagues of mine, because I was given this advice a long time ago, just in my own professional career, is be always watching and always looking and apply. And so a business plan for money, or a business plan for or a resume, apply about once a year to something, so that you are like going through the process and that everything is current. And because what it'll do is it'll show you what you're really worth. And 2, you never know if you're going to get better money somewhere too.
I'm not sure
there?
I understand.
Okay.
Well, the resume part is interesting, but I think our listeners as dealers are probably going to be interested in hearing on the business plan side. I think the thing that I was also struck by is that included with the business plan was an investor ready pitch deck. And while you might not be pursuing investors, it's just cool to think about. They're going to give you a summarized presentation that could certainly accompany, a lot of your investors or banks, they're not going to look through your 25-page, business plan, maybe every page, but certainly having a summarized pitch deck that correlates with your full written business plan and has the financial parts in there. I think the key thing here is it's just fill in the blank. Like for us, and I can't speak for every provider, but with the one that we worked with, they sent us the full questionnaire. We were able to download it. Now we simply complete the information, supply it to them, and they assemble it in an order that is going to make sense for a lender, investor, et cetera. And of course, you can make edits, and then you can use that to, compile whatever you might need to do additionally. But like, I just think the idea here is that, and this is part of why the Wednesday conversation around business intelligence. Look, it's been said, I've talked to plenty of people over the years who say, technology for us and buy here, pay here. That's really at the provider level. Technology at the provider level is like years behind, because why? If they have cool technology that works for both independent and franchise, they're going there first. Bigger numbers, different profile of dealer. So that's where the technology tends to be. And so we're sometimes in our buy here, pay here segment, we're the last to get technology.
And the only options that we think that we have, or the last to adopt technology, the only options that we think that we have are the big providers. And sometimes we may not need a big provider.
Well, and I'm blown away. If you spend 15 minutes on Fiverr and just do a search, I wonder if I could hire this kind of contractor here. I wonder if I could hire this kind of contractor. And I bet you're going to be amazed at the number of people that you can engage over there. And so you don't need to hire somebody. And I think the other thing with business plan, this is not necessarily a knock on our local people, but it's like, your local CPA is not really probably the best person to create a business plan. It's not really what they do. I'm sure they would help you at some price, but it's like they don't do it all the time like this person that we, have engaged. So my gosh, if we can hire somebody with a master's degree who for a few $100 will turn around a business plan based on our content, and we contribute the information and they simply assemble it in a way that makes sense. This is the part that's been so difficult for me over the years with many different businesses. I just never, and you can go to another reference for everybody is, I think it's score.org. It's SCORE, which I think stands for something Corps of Retired Engineers or entrepreneurs rather. And so they're that's through the Small Business Administration. And so you can engage a SCORE representative free of charge to be able to help you through some of this stuff. But I'm just going to tell you, when it comes to writing the actual business plan, I don't know of another solution that's any faster, any better. When you know your business, you know what you're setting out to accomplish, you can answer the questions that are fed to you through this questionnaire. And now you'll have a business plan in a matter of, and it's not like, your CPA promises it in 2 10 days or something,
or whatever,
and they don't have it. But with Fiverr, they're very much graded on their ability to deliver within the time frame that's specified. And so it's just a clean, it's just a way that it's like an element. The Fiverr's not new. It's just that we've not used it in this context in the past. And I just think it's important for our buy here, pay here folks who are out there shopping for a line of credit or, whatever the case. If you need to really step up your business plan, this would be the place that we would recommend.
Or even just, getting really focused again about what's your business plan and where you're going and all that. I had a couple of comments that I wanted to bring back up onto the screen. One, Vic Everett, who is a dealer out of California, says, absolutely, Fiverr is the best. I've used it it's independent contractors to make cold calls for fleet accounts. And then one of our founding sponsors, Mr. Tim Bird from Dealer RE, says we at Dealer RE have used Fiverr and will again. So if you if you're looking for something on that, it's interesting. We again, there's so many things out there that they can help. You can find business plan is just one of them. And this is what we're working on right now. And so that's why it's so relevant. But there are people you can hire to be social media managers that will handle your calendar, graphic designers, people that you can send video content and they're going to spit out a bunch of different ads or whatever. So you can just get in there and really, really look at what there is that's available. Now, some of you may not feel as confident with different things to place it in the hands of someone that you don't necessarily know or that you can't specifically vet from within the industry. Totally understandable. But I think that it's a beautiful thing that every person who owns a business, I think, would benefit from becoming familiar with what it has to offer.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, for today, it was really about that business plan. I don't know of a better solution. I think it's the right place to go to get that in motion. And then even if you took that to another professional to have them, tweak it or analyze it, but that's a great place to start for a small amount of money. And the other thing we gain on Fiverr is the sort of the global currency conversion. You're able to hire somebody for what seems like a small amount, because $50 in some countries is
it will feed a family for a month.
Than $50 in the US, right? So it's just incredible the opportunity. So we sound like we're selling Fiverr, but the reality
there's there's Upwork too. If you're looking for someone that's more your contract work for a specific thing, that's a really great option. Upwork is a great option for a lot of different things for within your business, but Fiverr is definitely, and it's funny because some of the things that we've done with Fiverr is, especially if they live in a different time zone, that we might get an answer at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And, but it still, it moves very quickly. But one of the things I wanted to mention with the sheet that we got, as we were preparing to talking about doing this, that it was like, okay, so let's start preparing numbers. Let's just numbers. And then when we got it, it was like, there are so little pieces in here that are about numbers. That it's for what was sent to us, it was 3/4 to 4/5 of it had nothing to do with numbers. Nothing to do with numbers. But it was about, who are you? Who's your team? What's your, where are you going? What are you planning on using with the money? What are you, and just, it was just a really, really,
it's fantastic. I would just say that the other thing too, that I think this ties in a little bit, and then we can wrap up. I think this ties into our Wednesday conversation around business intelligence, because, I want to talk about that in a white hat way context, because I think the idea here is that we want to just kind of be a voice on behalf of dealers to talk about how intelligence looks in the future. So if there's lots of things I could put under the category of intelligence, and we'll talk about all of them on Wednesday, but just, whether that's analytics, all other kinds of dealer services that, are out there, like ways for us but it's basically, how can we get access to more and better information as dealers trying to run our businesses in a buy here, pay here space. And so that's what I want to talk about on Wednesday. I want to come back and talk about all the resources that are out there and the opportunities that exist for us, whether it's artificial intelligence. We had Fred Lenartz on not long from Car Guy Coffee. So we've talked about some of those things already. I want to go farther in that conversation in terms of what intelligence looks like, and what services can look like for dealers going forward, solutions for dealers going forward. So again, that'll be our Wednesday conversation. But I don't have anything else for today.
Friday.
Yeah.
Brent Carmichael again. Going to be talking about overhead, which is that's a big conversation, because it's so funny as we get talking to people about where you want to go and what you're doing and cash flow modeling. We don't look at overhead as a broken out thing. It's more of just a whole number. What's your, what that kind of, it's just what's your big number. And there's a lot of opportunity if you're not experienced the kind of profit that you want to experience, to take a look at those kind of things.
People just don't know, like our conversation with Brent last time he was here about what people spend per car sold on advertising is just one example. But, we're going to look at overhead in a little larger way, because it's another area where I think dealers, many of the dealers that we meet are smaller. They're single locations. They're sort of on an island. They don't have anything to compare with other dealers. And so they don't know what others would be spending to run their business. So I just think that's one of the things, is giving people comparative information. And by the way, we're not doing that with V8. We're not doing expenses. So I think it's especially important that you that you tune in with the conversation with Brent Carmichael on Friday, because, and I'll just remind everybody, if you don't catch it live, you can always find it on YouTube, of course, Facebook. It's going to be a number of places, and LinkedIn. And then you can always catch it, of course, in audio through your favorite podcast platform. But I would just encourage people to make sure you catch that one, because we don't currently have very many good places. You can, if you remember 20 group, you get comparative composite inside your 20 group. But we know that, there's a high percentage of dealers that aren't involved in 20 groups. And so they're just, where they're going to find that information.
And we just really appreciate that Brent Carmichael has so much data, and is so freely giving that data. It's like we've mentioned before that Jim will say, hey, what is this? We want to talk about it. And within, if he's not in the middle of a 20 group meeting or something like that, that we just get like, here's the stuff.
Let's clarify. He's not giving away dealers data. No. He's just giving us aggregate results across his dealer groups.
Yeah.
And so he's
so like when he said the average marketing costs per
Mhm.
vehicle sold. And that, to me, we got a lot of interest in people saying, wow, how did they get it down to that? It's like, well,
Yeah.
that is one reason why, in a peer group,
Mhm.
it's a good, like a Dealer 20 group. It's a good idea to be able to compare yourself with others and learn best practices that way. All
Very
right.
cool.
Is that
Why
it?
don't we wrap up
All
there,
right.
and we'll just see everybody over on Wednesday for our conversation on business intelligence, especially as it relates to our industry, Buy Here, Pay Here.
All right. Have a
See you
great day,
Wednesday.
guys. See you all on Wednesday.